Are you a fidget? I know occasionally I am. To fidget is just to make small movements, especially the hands and feet, through nervousness or impatience. So let's make some toys that'll help you become a better fidgeter. I gathered up a bunch of parts that'll help me make these 4 fidget toys, but actually as I went along, I came up with some more, so this is not an exhaustive list of what we'll need. The first fidget toy uses 4 groups of parts. The first part I'll be using are a pair of roller chain links. Now these came off of a larger chain for a lawnmower. I found a few of these O-rings in my parts bin that will also work, and a few of these metal plates. Now these are used for a bicycle chain. And then 2 standard keychain key rings. These are about 1 inch in diameter. So the first step is to take our roller chain link and the first O-ring, and then we're going to stretch that O-ring out over the chain link. Now this might take a little bit of muscle. If you have to use a screwdriver, you could do that, and put the first O-ring in place. And then we're going to add 1 more just to kind of balance out the width of this chain link. So add the second O-ring, and we've got our first piece done. Now these will just add a little bit of cushion and make our fidget toy look a little bit cooler. Then we'll repeat the same process with the other chain link, adding the first O-ring, pulling it around and over, and then adding the second O-ring. And our 2 roller chain links are ready for the next step. We'll be taking the standard bicycle chain plates, and we're going to put 1 on each side of our roller chain. So I found the easiest way to make this happen is to use the key ring and put it through the first plate. Once you get the plate on there, then you can add the chain link, and that'll just make it a little bit easier since you've got to really stretch that key ring out. Again, you might have to use a screwdriver just to get a little bit more distance out of that key ring to get it through everything. Then once the chain link is on, we're going to add the second plate on the other side of the chain link and loop it all the way around. Now we have to repeat this entire process with the other end of the chain link on another key ring. So again, we'll loop the key ring through the plate, through the chain link, and then through the other plate. So now basically you have 2 key rings with the chain link in the middle. And now it's time to add our second chain link assembly, and we're going to attach that to either of the key rings. So go ahead and run the plate through, and run the chain link through, and then run the final plate through on the other side of the chain link. So now you should have a chain link assembly, key ring, chain link, and another key ring. And to finish this off, you're going to attach the empty end of the last key ring to the chain link that we just put in place. So basically you're going to make a loop all the way around. Now this is going to be the hardest assembly part because things get pretty tight here towards the end. But once you're done, you're going to have a really cool fidget toy with 2 soft touch chain links, and you can play with this for hours. Now it's time for a simple spinner. You've probably seen these before, but this one is really easy to make. We'll start off by using a regular marble. Any color you choose, it's entirely up to you. And a basic skateboard ball bearing. I took these off of my skateboard. Okay, I stopped skateboarding years ago, so I ended up just buying these. Now it's time for some hot glue. And what we're going to do is put a small dab of hot glue on the edge of the bearing. Doesn't really matter where this first dot goes, but you want to have it centered. And then once you've got the dab on there, take your marble and hold it in place. Make sure that's centered as well in the width of the bearing. Once that's dry, it's time for the second marble. Now we're going to try to create a triangle, and you can pretty much eyeball this. On my first shot, I got it right, so you could do it too. Another dab of hot glue, and then apply the marble. Now you've got your Mickey Mouse ears, and the last marble is probably the most crucial because you want them to be equal distance around the bearing so it's balanced. 1 more dab of hot glue, and then apply the final marble to the bearing. Okay, we're almost done. At the last minute, I decided to add a couple of more parts to this to make it better. These are small plastic hole plugs. You can get them at your hardware store. One fits inside on one side of the bearing, and then a smaller one fits inside the other hole plug on the other side of the bearing. This will just give you something to hold on to as we spin away, which we're ready to do. This is a fun little hand spinner that definitely spins. For this next one, you're going to take a walk over to the electrical department of your hardware store and look for a brass ground clamp. These are like $2 a piece, and they basically clamp around a ground rod, which will go in the ground, and then a ground wire will attach to the screw on the one end of the ground clamp. Now we're only going to use one side of this ground clamp, so we'll need two matching sides to make this work. And we're going to take the two original long bolts that came with this clamp and replace them with two smaller ones. Alright, now it's time to put this together. So what we're going to do, we're going to use both sides of this clamp and we're going to squeeze the bearing in the middle. So we're going to take the two small screws and run those through one side of the clamp and into the other, and then flip it around so it's balanced, and put the other screw on the other side through and into the other side of the ground clamp. Then I'm going to use a wrench to secure everything up, but not too tight because you don't want to lock that bearing. Now, in order to extend the distance of this bearing so we can get our fingers on it, I'm going to use two more marbles, and again, hot glue. Now hot glue this, but make sure you don't put a big glob on there because again, you don't want to freeze this entire bearing by running hot glue through it. So a small dab and then attach it to one side. Once that's secure, flip it around, hot glue on the other marble, and attach that to the other side of the bearing. Now this baby really spins, mainly because of the weight of the brass clamp. I think it's a really cool hand spinner. Give it a try. Okay, for this last one, I gotta be honest, I just kinda came up with this by looking through my parts bin. I found these threaded knobs that came off of some kind of electronics I had, some sharp-looking brass wing nuts, a couple of plastic spacers, and a 3-inch long bolt that everything fit on. But that bolt head needs to come off, so out to the garage and in the vise, and then I just grabbed my hacksaw and went to work. Now, here's a tip about using a hacksaw. You don't need to apply pressure to it. Let the blade, if it's sharp, do the work for you. And here's a little trick. As you continue using the hacksaw, you'll notice that as you get close to the end, it changes pitch. Listen. That's how you know you're getting close to the end of your cut. Oh, and be careful picking that up because the friction made it hot, 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 like a hot potato. Once the rest of the bolt was cooled down, I pulled it out of the vise, and now it's time to put together this fidget toy. I started by attaching one of the threaded knobs, and then added a spacer, and added one of the brass wing nuts, and the other spacer, and then finally the other brass wing nut, and then I put the other knob on just to keep everything in place. Now you could put these on in any order that you want, and it just makes a fun little spinner fidget toy. I had an extra bearing, so I decided to incorporate that into this fidget toy. It's always fun experimenting just to see what you can come up with. So there's 4 fun fidget toys to try your hand at. Just remember, you don't want to be fidgety when you shave because you could cut yourself. But I haven't had a single nick since I started using the amazing razors from Harry's. I've been telling you about Harry's for a couple of years now, and there's a good reason. Their German-engineered 5-blade cartridges give me a close shave every time with no nicks or cuts. Plus, they're stylish. And I don't even have to go to the store because they're delivered to my door. Plus, their super sharp blades are half the price of those big name brands in the store. When I first tried them, I got hooked because of their free trial set, which comes with a razor, a 5-blade cartridge, and shaving gel. It's free when you sign up for a shave plan, just $3 to cover shipping. And my fans get a special deal. When you order the free trial set, you get a free post-shave balm with your order by using my promo code kipkay5. That's HARRYS.com and use the promo code kipkay5 at checkout to get the post-shave balm added to your order for free. Click on the link below to start a new shaving experience with harrys.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.